So Charlie, how did you start using FusionReactor?
How did I start?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I think what it was that somebody blogged about it or somebody wrote about it, and I saw if I should look here or there. Who should I be looking at? You or there? What has everybody been doing?
Me.
Okay.
Look at me.
Okay. Take two.
Take two. No, it's okay. Go on. Go ahead.
So I think somebody must have blogged about it or wrote an article. I guess there weren't any articles. This was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, over 3.5 now, I think.
Yeah. So somebody wrote something about it, and it intrigued me, and I looked into it and started using it. I had used CFusion a little bit prior to that, and at the time the interfaces were FusionReactor really had an edge in the interface that led me to gravitate more towards it. And then more significantly was that I started working with it and sharing observations of things in the docs or in working with the tool, and you guys were so responsive to feedback. You were very appreciative of it, and you implemented things very quickly, and that meant a lot to me because I wanted to help make it something more appealing and identify things that might have tripped people up, and you guys were open to solving that problem and making it more appealing as well.
Okay.
So I enjoyed that. That's really why
we enjoyed working with you too.
That's why I started doing it a lot. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say is the unique selling point of FusionReactor?
Unique selling point. Gosh, well, there are many, really. I mean, probably the things that I think of off the top of my head when I'm talking to somebody about it is naturally if they're on 6 or 7 or 8 standard, they don't have any monitoring built into ColdFusion. But then even those who are on 8 Enterprise or now 9 Enterprise, I point out that there's still many advantages over that. So how I would answer the question of what selling points would be, I would say it depends on where they were coming from.
Okay.
So if they were on 6 or 7 or 8 standard, then I would just talk about how if you don't have any monitoring at all, it's really powerful to be able to see what's going on your ColdFusion server, to see the requests coming in. That's just so vital because often people will say ColdFusion's down, and yet if you have a tool like FusionReactor and you can see that requests are coming and going, then it may be that the web server connector is down and the requests aren't even getting to ColdFusion. Or they may come to the server and look at FusionReactor and all the requests are jammed up and they've been running for 2 minutes, and that's why no requests are running. So you don't have that information with anything if you don't have such a monitor. And so if you're on 6 or 7 or 8 standard, how are you going to find that out without a tool like FusionReactor?
Okay.
Then, beyond that, and a lot of people don't know this, is that you can look at a request that's been running for a long time and drill into it. It's called the stack trace feature, and I always love showing that to people because they can see exactly what line of code a request is sitting there waiting to run, and that may be why the requests are all jammed up. When I show that to people, they just are crazy about it because it's been a black box until now. So those are the unique selling points over not having any monitoring.
Okay, and how do you see it compared to the CF8 monitor?
So that's the thing. If they were saying they were using CF8, then I would say, well, don't think that you should use one over the other. They are both complementary. Each does something that the other doesn't do. The one that most people think of is that they are afraid of the CF8 monitor because they've been told it has really high overhead, and there are some features for which it does, but it's not entirely true. So I wouldn't say that was the reason someone should use FusionReactor. Instead, I say even if you are happy with using the CF8 monitor, there are still things that FusionReactor does. The biggest thing I would point out to people is that FusionReactor logs the requests. CF8's monitor doesn't do any logging at all. And again, that's incredibly valuable once you've been shown it, to be able to look at what's going on now in the logs or look historically at what went on an hour ago or an hour before the crash happened or the moments up to a crash that happened, or look historically over the past week or two and aggregate the logs and identify patterns And so the logs are incredibly valuable, whether it's seeing what requests are coming in and what's going on in the requests, or what queries are coming in and what's going on in the queries, or just what's called the resource log, which every 5 seconds by default writes out status information about what's going on in the environment. So often when I help somebody solve a problem, I'll say, if they have FusionReactor, let's look at the resource log, because that'll tell us very quickly and clearly what's going on. And if they don't have it, then I tell them that's why we need to add it. Because if you don't have that information available to you, you're just throwing darts at the wall to figure out what a problem is. When you have those tools and those resources, you can pretty much pinpoint the problem.
Excellent, great. Okay, well, thank you for that.